leadership, sound judgment, and a collaborative approach to the governance of the city. And during his tenure, Councilmember Bills played an integral role in a period of meaningful transformation in city government, including progress in housing development, the rehabilitation of the former middle school, the development of new townhomes, and the successful pursuit and administration of numerous local, state, and federal grants. Councilmember Bills has demonstrated a strong commitment to effective governance by actively participating in training, educational opportunities throughout the state, and enhancing his knowledge of municipal issues and best practices for the benefit of the city. And Councilmember Bills has worked collaboratively with fellow council members and city staff to support fair and responsible compensation practices, while also advocating for strategic investments in equipment and resources to ensure city employees have the tools necessary to effectively serve the citizens of Red Oak. Councilmember Bills was consistently willing to respectfully question established practices, encouraging thoughtful discussion and continuous improvement in city policies and operations. And Councilmember Ryan Bills will conclude his service to the city of Red Oak on December 31st, marking the completion of 4 years of dedicated public service. So therefore, the Mayor Pro Tem and the City Council of the City of Red Oak, Iowa, hereby extend their sincere appreciation and gratitude to Councilmember Ryan Bills for his service, leadership, and lasting contributions to the City of Red Oak and its residents. And I just want to thank you also, Ryan, for your 4 years of service. Your dedication to our community has been clear through the many hours of work that often happen behind the scenes. Reviewing information, asking thoughtful questions, and helping make decisions that keep Red Oak moving forward. That kind of commitment doesn't always get seen, but it's essential to ensuring our community continues to thrive. I'm truly grateful for the time, effort, and care you've given in service to Red Oak. Thank you. Happy to.
So I'm gonna say something no matter what, Tim. And you all probably go ahead anyway. You know, I gotta tell you, it's been a real distinct honor and privilege to work and represent the citizens of Red Oak, Iowa. And it's been a real privilege to work with all these folks and the other folks that have gone before them that I've served with. And I've just been amazed at what cohesive council with cooperation and collaboration with the state and the county and with the federal government, what can actually happen if you can get together as a group and actually have some kind of a cogent plan to go forward with. So I just want to thank everybody for putting up with me and my inquisitiveness. And I want to wish the new council coming on and the new mayor best of luck. And I'm really excited to see what you all do with what you've got. So thank you so much.
Yes. Bill, this is many of them. Now you go. So the city of Red Oak, Iowa has benefited from the dedicated and exemplary public service of Mayor Shauna Silvius, who faithfully served the community for 4 years as an elected official. And Mayor Silvius served 2 consecutive 2-year terms as the mayor of Red Oak, providing city leadership, vision, and a strong commitment to transparent, ethical, and effective local government. And during her tenure as mayor, Mayor Silvius played a key leadership role in a period of significant transformation in city government, including progress in housing development, the rehabilitation of the former middle school, the development of new townhomes, and the successful pursuit and administration of numerous local, state, and federal grants. Mayor Silvius represented the city of Red Oak with distinction through extensive involvement with the Iowa League of Cities, including serving on the league's board of directors and the mayor's committee. Mayor Silvius worked collaboratively with the city council and staff to address employee wage adjustments, ensuring the city of Red Oak remains competitive in attracting and retaining a qualified municipal workforce. Mayor Silvius will conclude her service to the city of Red Oak on December 31st, marking the completion of 4 years of dedicated public service. Therefore, the Mayor Pro Tem and the City Council of the Red Oak City Council of the City of Red Oak do hereby extend their sincere appreciation and gratitude to Mayor Shauna Silvius for her leadership, professionalism, and lasting contributions to the City of Red Oak and the greater Montgomery County region. And then again, just briefly, I do want to thank you for your years of service and leadership in Red Oak. So much of what you've done happens behind the scenes, and the untold hours, I know the untold hours spent writing grants, working with developers. There was two major housing projects that we've seen would not have happened had it not been for your work. And your commitment to the Iowa League of Cities and your willingness to bring ideas back home to strengthen our community speaks volumes about your dedication. These efforts require real sacrifice of personal time, but they've made a lasting difference here in Red Oak. And I'm grateful for the time, energy, and heart you've given to the role. Thank you.
I too have something to say. Thank you, Tim. Catch me right here. So I appreciate Tim and Brian and Denise for starting this out and for having the faith in me that I had the best interests of the city at heart. And I gave my heart and soul. And for Sharon and Adam, thank you so much for joining on board and picking up two of the very big shoes to fill. For Levi and Terry, I wish you the best of luck. You're returning. I would say, first and foremost, go to all of our properties and talk to all of our staff about our current facilities, just so you can get a true understanding of where we're starting. And I would not have been able to do any of this without that very strong council, and especially the last year without Lisa. And Carrie, we're excited to have you on board as well. So I appreciate all of those who have been supportive of me, for all of the partners and collaborative resource providers, for all of the funding that's been available to help. I know that I feel we've accomplished the things we set out to 4 years ago, and I feel like we've accomplished even more than that. So I feel like it's been a really good run, and I couldn't help, hadn't have done any of this without the staff too. So thank you for being patient with us as we went through a lot of challenges up and down, but I think we're in a much better place. So thank you, everybody, for making this one of the biggest honors of my life as well. So thank you so much. And I have to say, Ryan Bills, you pulled my arm a little bit on doing this, and you stood right by me through the whole thing.
It was a little twist.
It was a little twist, you
Little
know,
twist.
broke my arm, but so thank you very much. You will be greatly missed, and I hope that others will step up and be that little nudge to question everything else like you've been. So thank you. Thank you.
Oh.
Are there any public comments? Yeah. Number 8, the department reports of the fire department. Chief?
Yeah, it's been a bit, so. Lisa pressured me into, hey,
Great
I should
report.
probably come back and say, hey, okay, here we are. You know, kind of an interesting evening, having the dedication of Paige and, you know, touching base and recognizing the ones out here answering those calls. So we've got the best individuals that will ever do the job right here with us. So they're nice and shy and quiet for the first time ever, but they usually they're quiet when they're heat. But kind of an unorthodox report, was just more of a touch and base on kind of what we've got going. So after the end of December, we always do our call breakdown reviews and all that, but those are just numbers. So we want to give you a little bit more of what we got going on. Our building had a sewer backup here month-ish ago, so that's what you see. The current construction project that's going on is getting that corrected. So McCunn Construction and Rogers Plumbing have partnered up, and they're gonna try to get us patched back together and up and running. So that's what you see, the work underway. There is then through here, James Gass, our career firefighter EMT, just passed his paramedic class, so he's waiting to do his national testing. And then he'll come on as a paramedic. And then Daniel Ramirez is a part-time firefighter EMT with us. He graduated the same class. So Fingers crossed, they'll do well. They know they have all of our support to get through it, so, you know, get them tested and get them up and they will advance to the paramedic levels, so. We're getting that younger generation prepped. Somebody's gotta take the torch eventually. We wanna make sure we hand it to the right ones, so, and we most certainly do have the right ones. They fly the kids back there again. But excellent first responders. Our rural fire board meeting will be January 15th for the new ones. Terry's been familiar with it before, but be a new one for you. And then, so we'll get that meeting underway, with Connie being our new president. So talks went well last go around, and, so we hope that just continues. We're working on getting our national reporting system. We'll have that converted over by January 1st to the new state reporting system. The 150th year celebration for the Road Fire Department is next year. So we have a small committee that's been formed, within the fire department. And, we're working with Victor and Dwayne down at the firehouse, cause there's still some sentimental stuff down there yet, so, but we're really wanting to do something nice. So the committee is working on that in case they reach out to anybody in the community or any of you for whatever, support for that event. So I think they're gonna try to do more than just a day. It kind of become an ongoing thing. So, multiple staff have completed some certifications. We have Levi and Chavez that just completed Fire Officer 1. Of course, our 2 paramedic students have passed, and AJ Riley should be getting into the critical care paramedic program, and getting that certification. So the front office space in the very front corner that used to be kind of a storage area is now 3 workstations for our captains to help assist with them. Otherwise, everybody was kind of sharing 2 computers all the time. So with Bo's help, we were able to get that transitioned, using the PD's old office equipment. We were able to have some of the older equipment from them transitioned here to keep the cost down, to get those workstations up and going. So, that's already underway. Of course, we're assisting Amber with Toys for Tots, which has been fun this year because with the government shutdown, the Marine Corps was shut down for communication. Fingers crossed, we're hoping to get up there Wednesday with the trailer to get the toys picked up, but communication has been frustrating. So, hopefully we'll be able to get that, you know, completed. So we are still a training site for the State Training Bureau, and probably one of the biggest classes, I would say. 22 students came through here for training certifications Saturday. That awesome to see that number out there because it's dwindling for the amount of responders, but 22 that, you know, came through our firehouse, came to our town to test and get certified in various certifications. So that's an awesome number. That's nice to see. So, the one photograph in there of the 3 good looking ones, the 4th one, me, wasn't there at the time. So they're still quiet. Something's wrong. Now I'm getting nervous. This is the graduation ceremony. And then, the last one is, we have training sessions during the month, but we also have shift training sessions. And that was just one of them where they were going over the rapid intervention crew roles, responsibilities, and then phase 2 of that training was going out to our training platform and actually exercising some of that skill set. So, always training, always trying to keep up, you know. Electric vehicles are a challenge. Battery powered everything now is a challenge. So just trying to keep up with it. We were learning in one of our electric vehicle classes that it's between 3,000 and 8,000 gallons of water to potentially put one of those vehicles out, and you're not guaranteed to put it out. So obviously a rule setting fire would be a handful, let alone in town. So, we're learning and we're trying to keep ahead of the curve and stay after it. So
Because of lithium.
yeah, and then the runoff, gotta be careful of the runoff from the batteries, and it's just, or tow companies are towing them, and then a few hours later, it'll reignite in their tow yard. So they're having to take steps to keep all that stuff away from other cars. It just a nightmare for folks to get used to it, but it's here, so here we are. But that's kind of us in a nutshell. I know you had a lot on the agenda, so at least it said not all night, so that's not all night, so.
Two
I'm gonna
questions.
say,
How are we on, do you know when the delivery for the fire truck is?
20, end of 26, 27.
We, that was part of our
Just-
way back.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Just, the VIN number just got issued, so it's in its infancy, but that's
Okay.
probably a year, I would say, ish. Barring it goes, yeah, so
And then when are Toys for Tots gonna be delivered? Is it
I
22nd?
believe they are thinking Monday, but
22nd?
we're still
Making sure we have.
making sure we can get up there to get it. It is, you know, and I'm sure they're overwhelmed, the shutdown didn't help, but trying to get a hold of the warehouse and get our scheduled time and up there, we're fingers crossed we can get it. Amber said there was quite a few, I believe the highest number yet
Yeah.
to come through for requests, so we really don't wanna leave them hanging, so.
Yeah.
Boxes are half full or majority full around town that I've seen, so, I mean, the community's helping out, so
Mhm.
it's awesome to see. You know, no kid should go without at least opening one, so I think we'll be hopefully okay. So.
We do an incredible job with this program, so thank you to Amber and everybody who participates. Those kids get treated very well, and it's nice to know that they get that special.
Yeah, Amber does a lot in the background. You talk about one that's behind the scenes that is a concrete pillar that gets things done.
She coordinates those bags. There's hundreds of bags, 250 bags for toys. And each kid's name, their age, and what types of
Address.
toys are in it and their
It
addresses.
just.
And then it's organized, so we like put them all in one vehicle, so we know where we're delivering. It is phenomenal.
And it's just not rogue. Those are all put together and then go to the fire departments in Montgomery County that have
Yeah.
deliveries, so they're already addressed.
Yeah.
They just have to have staff get them delivered, so,
It's really
yeah,
impressive.
she's a champion of champions, that's for sure.
It's been one of my favorite things to do. So pass that torch to you, so. Thank you,
Thank
chief.
you.
Thank you.
To Mayor and Brian for all the years of getting to play in government and interesting and.
Yeah.
We are super proud of both our fire and police departments and all of our departments.
Yeah,
But we've got a pretty special fire department that not many communities our size have, so.
no, and all of it together, it takes so many working parts, but it takes, you know, from budgets to
Mhm.
a crisis that hits the town, you know, it takes everybody being able to come into the room, sit down and go to work, and we have that. And it's sad to stand up here and say that doesn't exist everywhere, and it does not.
Mhm.
What we have here is unique.
Yeah.
Right, wrong, or otherwise, unique, and we get a lot of things done, and to them, I mean, our law enforcement, and fire, and neighboring fire departments, I mean, it's just,
Annie and me, you all
We-
work so well together, so
we have something.
it's impressive. Thank you.
Good group, so,
Thank you.
thank you, guys.
Right, number 9, consent agenda, which includes the approval of the minutes of the regular city council meeting on 12/1/2025, the receipt of minutes from the Animal Control Welfare Committee on 12/3/25, the DUR board on 12/3/25, and the Airport Commission 12/12/25, a meeting list for 2026 of all your upcoming city council meetings, and then the December 15th claims in the total amount of $91,701.82.
And do know we have 2 that will not be on Mondays for the meeting list. If you looked at that, it'll be Martin Luther King and Labor Day.
Labor Day for the meeting
Just move
dates.
to the day after.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, Lester,
Second?
right off. Roll call.
Bill?
Yeah, yes, but I do want to make one. So I know Terry is gonna have to come off the airport board. So we have the
Yeah.
airport board as part of this. So do we have we put that out yet?
Not yet, we'll wait for
Wait till after he's sworn in or?
No, I'm gonna advertise this week.
I
Yeah.
see.
For all the,
Okay.
there's a whole list.
So yes,
Tim is working on his appointments and Tim is aware that Levi has to come off for planning and zoning and Terry has to.
oh, I forgot Levi was
Yeah.
in planning and zoning as well. Yeah,
Okay, good deal. Right, all right, so roll call.
already said yes.
Thank you.
Right on.
Yes.
Lester? Yes. Heath,
Yes.
Bradley? Yes.
6:09, and I would open the public hearing to discuss the sale of the city lot described as Lot 10 in block 55 in the city of Red Oak, Montgomery County, Iowa, according to the record plat thereof, commonly known as 107 East Grimes, tax parcel ID, I'm not reading it, proposed to be sold at AKJ Investments for $600. Are there any public comments? And did we have any online? Okay. So I would close the public meeting at 6:10. And since we're moving 13 up, resolution 2025-162, accept the bid for the sale described as lot 10 in block 55 in the city of Red Oak, Montgomery County, Iowa, according to the record plat thereof, commonly 107 East Grimes, tax parcel ID 600628310004000, proposed to be sold to AKJ Investments for $600.
Motion to approve.
Okay, Bradley
Second.
and Bills. Any discussion? Roll call.
Rydell,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Hebrink,
Yes.
Bradley. Yes.
Yes.
Right, number 12 or number 13, resolution 2025-166, Agrivision John Deere Z960M ZT mower purchase. And this is a mower that is continuously having issues. They did check 2 bids with, just a second here. With both, Agrivision as well as, just said their name, escape me. Outdoor Dick will do it. And this one is available at, Agrivision currently, so a motion for this would be that the city council hereby authorizes the purchase of a 72-inch riding lawnmower from Agrivision in the amount of $14,750. This purchase is in response to the mechanical failure of an existing mower. The mower shall be used by the cemetery department for ongoing maintenance of city facilities, and the city administrator and city finance manager clerk are hereby authorized to execute any necessary documents to complete this purchase. Does anybody have any questions of Lisa?
So are we trading in the old mower? We keep the other mower, fix it, where we gonna?
I can't answer that, I'm not sure. Sometimes we keep them as backup or they move down, like.
It's not in here, so I just.
I don't know which one it was for sure replacing, but
Seems like we just bought that mower for the cemetery last year.
Did.
Is that
we have
correct?
numerous ones. We're not replacing one that we just bought.
So this is an old.
This is an older one.
Chris, do you know, is that the case?
There's like 4 or 5.
It's one of the older ones.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'll make that motion.
Bills?
Second.
Right off.
By buying it now, we save, as she said, a few $1,000s. If we wait till spring when it's basically we're getting a model they don't want to store all winter.
Is there, do we have a warranty on it and everything? Cause I know that we had a big issue with one that we just purchased from them.
I don't think it was from there, it was from another location that we bought.
Yes,
That was a different
that
mower.
was a
It was a different one?
Yep.
Just went bad?
Yep.
From a different manufacturer.
Okay,
There haven't been issues with the deers.
okay.
And that's one of the reasons they've been leaning towards the green stuff. Because we had the issues with the other equipment.
And some departments, like that, it was an issue at the cemetery. For a different mower, and then there's other departments that don't have any issues with those manufacturers, so we kind of just feel like we got a lemon somehow.
okay, so I have a first by Bills, second by Friedhoff. Any other discussion? Roll call, Carrie?
Lester,
Yes.
Hebrink,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bills,
Yes.
Rydell.
Yes.
All right, number 14, resolution 2025-164, Animal Welfare and Control Committee Survey. As you know, we established a committee to review the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 55 and 56. The committee felt that the first piece of business was to put out a survey to our citizens to get their opinions and perceptions. This is an informative survey. It is included in your packet. And it's also an educational piece as well as an opinion piece. We would like to keep this survey out If approved tonight, starting tomorrow through the 15th of January, it would go on the utility bills as either a QR code or a link. It would also be sent out in emails if we had interested parties that wanted to receive it. Also on social media, and I'm also gonna propose a QR code on the website if possible on our animal control page, our animal welfare page. And it really only takes 5 to 10 minutes to take, so.
I move to approve the survey.
Right up.
I'll second it.
Okay, Heatbrink. Any discussion?
It's pretty, simple and straightforward and not a chapter.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, the questions were good.
And this just goes right in the bill.
Just
We're
go to the
not-
QR code.
We're not paper copying it.
No, it won't be a
No,
paper
because
copy.
Oh, I see.
It was the bill and
So it will go to everyone on the bill, but we'll start promoting social media, so we should get a good turnout, I would
Put
think.
something in our next bill too.
January.
It'll be on the bill, but it'll just be a link to the survey.
Okay.
yeah, not a big cup, just the link.
Yeah, you know, I was kind of
Put that
surprised.
in a public service announcement.
It could be a public service announcement.
Did you do your first one?
Actually, we talked about having Rome, who's our chair and our vice chair, possibly go on the radio and talk about it.
I'll ask you.
I did one for the snow removal last week.
Oh, good, thank you.
That they already have put on.
Yeah, so remember, we wanted to do our topic, so since it
Change
was-
them around for all the content.
Yeah.
we had Sharon record her as the first one. So.
Excellent.
And
Yes.
the radio station is nice enough not to charge us for it for a quick 10 seconds. So anything like this that can go on,
Mhm.
that really makes the public aware of what we're doing, because a lot of times they don't know.
Sure.
And it's good then they'll bring up questions, so that's good.
Great. Thank you, Sharon. All right, so I got a write off and Heatbrink, roll call.
Heatbrink,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bills,
Yes,
Rydell.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Number 15 is resolution 2025-163. This is a downtown urban renewal board grant payments. One would be for $7,500 for Cool Boss Street Holding for 220 East Cool Boss Street. Another $7,500 for Swanson Law at 209 East Cool Boss. And thirdly, for Mark Jackson's Hardware Hank and the Hallmark 323 East Reed Street, also for $7,500. For a total of 22,500. This comes from the $70,000 that we set aside for urban renewal.
I'd just like to say that all three of these businesses that have participated and do get the grant, they've done an amazing job on their buildings. If you've gone by Swanson Law Firm, that front is just amazing. It really enhances our downtown, and just to see the new windows in the buildings and what's going on, it makes our downtown look so much better. So compared to a lot of others I've seen around, so kudos for the business people for putting their money in, because we only give a small portion of what they're investing in our downtown.
We're only doing 25%.
Yes.
Okay.
but that's considerable.
Yeah.
It's a-
25% is
It's a good
considerable.
And a lot of times it's more than that.
Pardon me?
A lot of times it's more than that.
All right,
I'm going to approve that.
Lester,
I'll second.
Bradley. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bills.
Yes.
Rydell.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Heatbrink.
Yes.
Number 16, resolution 2025-165, sidewalk snow removal enforcement and snow removal fees. And I'm ecstatic to see this on here because we've had complaints over the past 4 years that I've had to vet with regard to this, because we do have a lot of people that walk and they get stuck walking in the street. And so, Lisa, would you like to share anything specific on this? I think what you shared was really good.
So obviously, I think everybody knows that I try to work pretty hard with staff to be, make sure that we're enforcing the codes that the council has adopted, and sometimes just over time, whether it's unpopular, feelings amongst the public, sometimes we just morph away from it. And so now that the council committed to having that full-time employee, that's partly for the cemetery and partly for nuisance, We've been having a lot of meetings, as you know, before Andrew was hired, between the two chiefs, myself and Brad, on nuisance, and we've, you know, obviously now gotten away from grass. Less time spent on that, and I feel very strongly that when we have a code that says people have to shovel their sidewalks, people travel on the sidewalks. I just don't think it's appropriate, and we haven't enforced it as much as we intend to, and so I thought it was, number one, good for us to have some dialogue about it and make sure that, you know, there may be people that complain, but just last week, we had an email from a resident that said, you know, I walk and there's so many sidewalks that are not shoveled, what can be done? And I said, well, ironically, I plan to bring it to the council. Invited that person to come, and they just are not a public speaker, and said, please express to the council how important it is that, you know, as a pedestrian, as sometimes people in wheelchairs, when we just let those things go unnoticed. So the code right now does not prescribe, if you remember for those of you that were on the council, I think Janice, maybe that was before you were on, but we went through the process with grass that we had to say that the door hanger was an okay method to notify people. When it comes to the snow, we don't specify in the code how we notice them. And so that's why I think the door hanger is effective. So what'll happen is anytime that snow stops, we'll give people 48 hours, and then the closest day that we can, you know, obviously it's a weekday on the third day. Andrew, as our nuisance officer, would be going out and tagging houses with these door hangers. If you look at the options, it might be that you know, I've seen houses where they just barely shovel a path. They don't actually do the 4 feet width. So people can't get through with a wheelchair. Sometimes they don't do the corner. If they're on a corner, they don't go out to the road. Sometimes they've tried to, but it's, you know, icy and that they need to put some product down. So we gave those choices. So he would go out right away and then give them another 24 hours. So by the time we would ever come and actually do the work for you, it'll be at least 72 hours. If that 24 hours comes on a Saturday or Sunday, then we'll be there Monday morning. So we'll charge similarly to how we do for grass. It's not an attractive fee. You know, part of the thing that we don't want to do is get in the business of being competitive to private sector people so that they just think, oh, I'll just have the city do it. We don't want to be doing it. But if people don't do it, we will do the work. And then there's that $75 administrative charge. So when you look at all the time that we're spending on going to your house, tagging it, coming back, sending you an invoice, having to possibly lien it on your property taxes if you don't. So this resolution would establish that the $75 administrative fee that we're charging for grass would be the same for snow. And then we just use our hourly rates for billable hours for equipment and people. So I think it's important if you have a code that says people have to do it, that we, you know, it's not just a true nuisance like grass would be that people don't want to look at. It really is safety based. We have liability on our part for allowing it to stay unplowed, you know, treated if there's salt, or excuse me, ice that needs salt. There are some areas, you know, we're trying to do as good as we can on city properties. Certainly it's helped us that we sold those 16 lots so that we have less of that to do for ourselves. I know there's some bridges that we need to pay more attention to. There's some other city properties, and so we'll obviously have to do our due diligence to make sure that everything that we own, if we're gonna go out and ask citizens to do the same, we have to make sure that we're doing our due diligence to get our properties done. So we'd like to proceed, and this would establish the administrative fee as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate, it's not just people walking up and down the streets and people in wheelchairs. It's also kids going back and forth to school every day as well. So I just wanted to put that in there as well.
And I think we've kind of ebb and flowed from like being aggressive on it, and then over time, sometimes we're not. I think the staff just felt like, hey, this isn't something we've done in the last few years. We definitely haven't done the door hangers. And so to me, the door hangers are effective. It's a good way. You know, certainly we also, just from, you know, your perspective, if we know who it is and we know someone's not there, you know, we call landlords, we call owners, especially I hunted somebody down for grass that was in Alaska. Just by Googling, and randomly found a phone number, and they have no idea. You know, they just weren't thinking about that, and they had, you know, so we do everything that we can, not just to slap up a tag and come back and bill you. You know, our goal is to not be doing the work.
So this is a little off the subject, but how did we do on our moving of cars for the emergency? I mean, did we do okay?
Yeah, And we're gonna bring up, this will be we just kind of figured this was more emergent
Right.
for winter, but we are gonna talk with the new council about code enforcement on off-street parking, you know, having those approved parking spaces, because I think, again, you know, there's just people randomly parking in their yards, they're not approved spaces. And it's that same thing, you know, we wanna be, more diligent about talking about that with residents and making sure that people are following the codes, but I don't think it was too bad, you know, it wasn't a huge snowstorm that day.
Right.
And I think that we are trying to let people know, like, we didn't really get a lot of flack on Facebook this year, which I think was good, just trying to say, hey, we're gonna, even if it doesn't snow till 3 a.m, we're setting the snow emergency before you go to bed.
Mhm.
Because you're not waking up every hour to see if it's 2 inches or not, and so that's kind of our plan, is if we know it's gonna snow in the middle of the night, we're gonna do it at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. We'll give warnings for a while. I don't think we had to issue any tickets or anything, but people are, I think, getting more used to it. If you saw, I think somebody asked if there was a snow emergency this last weekend, and then I posted like, hey, like our Facebook page, sign up for the Montgomery County alerts. Brian is really great. You know, I just sent him a notice. He sends a link letting people know, so you can get a direct text message to your phone and email, phone call, stuff like that. So I think between the different ways, people are getting more used to it. And I think it helps not having this every other street side. That's just confusing to people.
And we're not basically stuffing people into being pushed up against snow. So
Right,
like we were doing before, I think it's helping to clear the streets.
right. And I think people just have to understand, like, we're not trying to make your life miserable. We just want the roads to get plowed efficiently. We don't want you plowed in. If you get plowed in, then we just have to come back and get that windrow out. That's, you know, where it shouldn't be. So I think, again, one of the keys to whether it's sidewalks, grass, snow emergencies, parking, like the more consistent, and every year we do the same thing, people just get used to it, and then we're not trying to reteach people, so.
Okay.
And the word does get out. Some people get notices.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll motion to approve.
Bradley?
I'll second.
Bills? Any further discussion? Roll call.
Bills,
Yes.
right off.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Hebrink,
Yes.
Bradley.
Yes.
Number 17 is resolution 2025-167, approval of the 2080 agreement for the YMCA. And currently, this agreement exists where the city of Red Oak basically maintains the sports complex from July 1 through June 30th. And the total contracted amount of that agreement is $28,464. An initial payment of $13,000 has already been made, and the remaining balance is $15,464 scheduled for payment in January of this year. And basically, the city administrator and mayor are authorized to execute this agreement if so approved.
And it's more than just the field, it's basically all recreational
Yes.
opportunities, you know, many communities
Based
have not just a parks department, but a park and rec, and so some place in the past, the community decided that already having the YMCA in place was a better arm to use for recreation, and then some tax dollars. So if you remember, you know, it's important from state code that we actually have a formal agreement whenever we're using public money to give it to another organization, and so this will, you know, it's been in place before, but
It's been a long time. I mean, we worked hard to get that in place back in the day. So,
is this amount?
it's a slight increase.
Yeah,
I thought
it's
it
not
was
much.
25, I think. So
26, I think we did in 2013s before, so when Carrie was wearing her
yes,
previous.
I'm looking at her because we've had this conversation about.
So
whether
she went through and kind of presented like, what were the YMCA's cost? What were the kinds of things that you could associate with what the city recreation department would do? That kind of came to like 4%. And then we took like it wasn't a 4-ish%, and then took part of their budget at that percent, which came out to that amount. There had been conversations about whether or not they should back out of doing the baseball, softball fields and have maybe another organization take care of that, but I think before Carrie left, there was other people in place that would be better able to do that than maybe there was in the past, and so we decided to leave as is.
Okay, good job. All right, So this is basically to pay the remaining $15,464 here in January or prior to.
So if the YMCA decides to go to switch over to JVAA. That's
It would be
good.
our decision with them,
Okay.
and that was discussed. Gave them the option that we had kind of tagged an amount of about, of the 28,000, we tagged somewhere around $4,000. So we did present to that organization that if they wanted to get $4,000, do they want to take it over? There's always the challenge, and this has been in every city I've worked in, with the organization that runs baseball, softball, having sometimes different standards than we do, whether it's the Y or the city, whoever, and that they want to see things be done different. So we did have a meeting with Caleb as the head of that, representing them, and said, hey, like, if we were to eliminate 4,000 out of this payment to the Y, so that 28 would become 24, would you be interested in us giving you the $4,000, then you take care of it? And they felt like while there may be some opportunity for the current parents, they didn't really feel like it was a good idea to put that on future parents, that they don't know if people, you know, it's a volunteer group instead of at the YMCA, it's still an employee, employed by someone, not just, hey, the volunteer didn't show up today. So between the three groups and the park board, this is recommended from the park board, we did think, to your point, Adam, that it was appropriate to vet that conversation. And if it ever went to going to someone else, then there'd be some kind of an adjustment to the payment.
I move to approve that. The Y, the 2080 agreement.
Okay, Lester
I'll second it.
and Heatbrink. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Right off,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Hebrink,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bills.
Yes.
All right. And number 18 is adding no parking to the recodification list for South Fifth Street and High Street intersects. Lisa included a map in our packet. And basically it would be limiting no parking on South Fifth. Just a second, let me read it. Would be High Street from South Fourth Street to South Fifth Street, and South Fifth Street, 200 feet north of High Street. If approved, this would be a simple resolution to direct staff to add it to the list that will be reconsidered for the full ordinance book. So it's a corner.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of elevation changes there that kind of, it's really, it's right by that wooden bridge that goes across to the south end.
Right.
And so a resident that doesn't live, but has a property on High Street, saw the chief and I at Baumgart's grand opening event and kind of approached us. And I said, I don't really feel like it justifies paying to publish a separate ordinance and that it's emergent, but I said we would bring it to the council to see if you were agreeable to having no parking on those two sections, that we would add it to the recodification that would ultimately get voted on sometime in 26.
Doesn't the person that live on that corner, don't they have a whole bunch of stuff parked on the street already?
Which, you mean like where the two
On the
streets?
High Street, yeah, and Smith, right on the
Behind
corner,
Ford.
where it curves around there, you go over the bridge and it curves around.
So at if you're talking at Fourth and High on the northeast corner,
Yeah,
that is a property that no one lives at, but that they live across on the other side of the bridge.
okay.
And we've met with them to make sure that their stuff is not parked where it shouldn't be. And obviously, if we were to change this as a new area, when the recodification, we make sure that people get notified in that area.
Okay.
So. It's just you kind of come around corners, and if you're in a lower car, you can like barely see what's ahead of you. So if the council's agreeable, it would just be a motion to direct staff to add it. This would not obviously be any sort of adopting of it or no enforcement. No signs going up. And if you don't think so, it can stay as is.
Would anyone like to make a motion to add it?
We don't need a motion on it, do we?
We just need to instruct.
I think if you
staff
just want to give
add it.
consensus,
Give
that's
say
okay.
yes,
Is
fine,
anybody
yeah.
disagreeable? Do you think it's
Okay.
okay?
I'm good with it.
Karen or Adam, you guys okay with it?
Everyone good with it? Okay,
So then I'll make sure that we give it to the recon.
okay. All right, number 19 is reports. City Administrator report. EMS services provided by the other communities in Montgomery County.
So we had a meeting, December 2nd, and all the other communities in Montgomery County and Emerson included, from Mills County. we met with them and tried to go over, and I told you that we were gonna do this, that we felt, you know, it really is critical that if we continue to respond all the time to these other communities, that while when we pick someone up, we bill them, and that's part of the revenue that we receive. You know, we really tried to explain like that EMS is not an essential service, that they don't have to provide it, fire is, EMS is not. And that while we didn't come in with, if you don't pay us X amount, we will no longer be coming. We said, we're willing to work with you together to come up with that amount. Certainly, there's going to be a struggle on their end to figure out how they're gonna pay us. And so, what we will have to decide at some point here in the next few months. I think what Chief and I talked about was that we think it's probably appropriate to now bring the mayors together in kind of a smaller venue to be able to say, we wanna make sure you understand, like, this isn't a money grab from Red Oak. This is, I think people don't understand that the city of Red Oak taxpayers are funding an ambulance service for the entire county and beyond. And so while you know, on their end, it's a difficult, you know, one of the elected officials said, well, why would we start paying you? And why are people gonna think we should pay you when we never have before? And I said, you know, it's not the council's responsibility to fund an ambulance service for the entire county when the other governing boards, councils are not paying towards that. So you're paying some amount of money to ensure that we come. Right now, they do what's called simultaneous dispatch. And so they page out the volunteer part of whatever community we're coming to. All but one have some amount of volunteers that will respond. Some respond with their own vehicles, and they just bring a bag, but they're just first responders. Some actually have volunteer EMTs that will come with an ambulance if they respond. Sometimes they don't, just because they have so few people and they're not available. And then in the case of one community, there's no response at all. And so we want to make sure that that's clear. We want to give them time. And then there is going to be on the new council a decision to have to be made that either you're going to require our employees to continue to respond at no revenue reimbursement to the city, or we want to make sure that, you know, our goal was that probably a decision needs to be made by July 1, and that we have to give them some amount of time to educate their community, because you know, what I said to them is, I've never worked in a place where no one was coming, but it is okay by state law for no one to come. And so we know that they're not coming to our area because we have invested in a full-time department, but as difficult as it will be to come up with the money, like, what would their people say? And that's not for us to answer, that's for them to answer. But if you lived in one of the surrounding communities that we have, and you knew that your council decided not to collaborate with us in some 2080 agreement to continue to come, what would your people think? And they have to kind of vet that process. But I do think that at some point we have to say, like, we are sometimes 40 minutes away and no one's coming to our people who are paying because we're somewhere else.
And that is the point that needs to be said, because
The
we have,
hospital has their services
That has
now.
nothing to do with, this is 911. The
Okay.
hospital, if you're in the hospital and
No,
they
it
need to
wasn't
transfer,
an issue. The hospital do all the county, since they're a county hospital.
No,
if we say we're not coming,
they
No
basically
one
do
will go.
transfers. They're basically transferring
transfer
patients.
they have a separate company that transfers them.
called
Only
Pioneer.
transfer.
They're not going out to scenes.
So if
We are.
someone calls 911 right now, anywhere in the county or in Emerson, and one of the questions, like if it's in Villisca, is they will ask where you doctor. So if you doctor in Red Oak, then we're coming. If you doctor in Clarinda, then sometimes they're coming.
Okay.
But right now, we get paged out, and they're all standing back there, so they know, like, we all get paged out and we come. And so what we said to those communities is, it is not fair, you know, fair's whatever it is, but are you, as we all go through, you know, what's equitable? It really, and to me, it's sad that a state says it's okay not to provide ambulance service. You know, like, to me, that's
They've never contributed in the past, is that what you're saying?
No.
no.
Never.
And the issue is, if there's ever a situation where we are called to something and then we're called to something else, we still have to have people here. And so if it comes down to making a decision on where we're able to go, you know,
The allegiance.
allegiance
They do
would
it
be
in
local.
other, like Atlantic or some of those communities.
So the other issue in other communities is that those are often provided by the hospital.
Yeah.
which is a countywide hospital.
That's what-
So everybody in the county is paying towards it.
Okay.
So people don't understand, and I truly don't think people understand, you know, we get lots of attention about our taxes, but the citizens of Red Oak are funding paramedic level service for communities that are not contributing. And so we said, like, we're not asking you to pay for our ambulance service. We have a $1.9 million fire department budget without buying a fire truck.
Yeah.
We've been blessed to get two grants for our last 2 ambulance purchases.
Mhm.
So this was just kind of the math that I threw out there. I didn't want to go into the meeting with the chief, and Tim represented all of you, to say, this is the dollar amount that you have to pay or else. To me, I wanted to say, like, how do you believe, you know, there's many things like public safety can be based on population, assessed value, number of calls. So the one thing that we knew that we had when we went into the meeting was the number of calls. When you take the number of calls that the guys have gone on compared to what's in town, what's in our response area. So this does not mean the city, by the way, because as you know, we have our rural fire board and they contribute $100,000. So all the townships that are in our response area are always going to be included. So we're not going like not to everybody that's contiguous to the city. So they contribute $100,000. But going outside of our response area, about 10% of our calls are not responded. We're not responding to people who contribute towards our budget. And so as we stood there, I really didn't have this in front of me at the time or thought out, but we had a $1.9 million budget. So what we said was, what if 10% of that budget was attributed to something that everybody else should fund? That's $190,000. And then we get $600,000 in revenue from the people that we pay, that we bill and then eventually pay. Obviously, some go unpaid, but we get about $600,000 in revenue. So if you took 10% of the 600, you would get 60. And so in my mind, I said, take the 190, that's 10% of the $1.9 million budget, subtract 60,000, give them 10% credit for the people we scoop up, which we're not gonna keep track of, like, your people paid this and our people paid this. It just, if you gave them a credit of that, that would be a number of $130,000. And to say that we're gonna go all over the county, outside of the county to the areas, would it be fair and equitable to the taxpayers that you represent to have some sort of a contribution that maybe gets phased in? You know, I said that we would like to see something by July 1. You're talking about your budgets now in the next few months. So this is the right time. Like, we're not coming and saying next July, we're not coming starting in December when they've set their budgets. But if they were willing to do something and phased in, maybe the 130 is the goal that we get to, and it takes 3 years to get there. So maybe we're getting 43 more, and then eventually that, but they have to make a decision. And then and we wanted to give them ample notice. And then in the end, you will have to make a decision. You represent.
Are you talking 3 or 4 communities?
We're talking Villisca, Stanton, a little bit from Grant, and then Elliott and Emerson. So 5.
Let's go over.
Wow.
They're in our response area. So anyway, so they have started that conversation. We're gonna bring the bigger group together in January, and I think I need to reach out and say that maybe right after the new year, before that meeting, that we need to talk to the mayors, because I think some of it came off as like, this is just Red Oak trying to do a budget fix. No, it's not, because our budget's not gonna be fixed by that, but is it proper?
Right.
And do you think people really understand in Red Oak that other communities are not contributing to having someone here 24/7, 365, ready to come when something happens to you? And so I think it's only fair, representing Red Oak, that those conversations happen and then they have a decision to make. And I didn't want it to be, you know, this is it, but I do, you know, between those of you that'll still be on the council and Terry and Levi, we will have a decision to make sometime this winter to give them notice if we feel like we're moving in that direction. And what I hope is that they can come to the table with some payment, regardless of what it is. You know, and that's, to me, I've been through this with things like dispatch, where all of a sudden communities just got an invoice and nobody started talking about it before it came down.
Yeah.
And so I think we did the right thing. I don't know that people really understand or comprehend what's been happening. And I think that's the message, that we don't want to look like the bad people not coming, but we want the communities to understand, like, they do have a choice, just like we do, you know, streets, parks, all those different things. And do you want to make EMS an essential service in your community by contributing something? The other factor in all of this is that a couple of years ago, the state of Iowa made the ability for a county to vote on EMS being an essential service and then having a separate tax. So when I was in the northeast corner of the state, Jones County did pass it. I'm sure you've heard about the last elections where you hear some pass and more don't pass. And one of the things that we talked about is this may help us to put together a committee. But what I know is that it's not gonna sell by the taxpayers if anybody other than the first responders are the ones advocating for it. And so each of, like, if you're all going out and saying, can we tax you more? That's not gonna pass. But if people understand what they struggle with, you know, at the level of being paramedics and the things and what it costs, like, they will be the key to it passing or not passing, so. So this is just an update, but do be prepared for those of you that will be on it still and our new elected officials that, you know, it's an important thing and it's not an easy decision, but I think it's one we have to make.
It's been a conversation piece, Tim and I and Adam, we've all been involved in these conversations for quite some time. And it was separating that out from the hospital situation too, because it's another whole situation.
Right, and they kind of said, why is this coming up? And I said, if you want me to be honest, I think it's been talked about quietly in Red Oak for a long time.
Yeah.
And then it takes leadership to be able to
Right.
be willing to open up the dialogue. And that's why we're here. Like I sent a very non-threatening letter. Please come and be part of the solution with us. Like, we're open to your options.
Did you say that was Jones County? What kind
Jones County is where I have served and it passed. But if you look, was it Cass County guys that passed?
H County
Page County.
did not pass it.
It did not. I think it did pass in Cass, I
I think
believe.
it's Cass that did. Page.
Cass did, and Page did not.
Taylor County just passed last election too.
Right. And so, like, to give perspective, again, it was a smaller community, but when we were in, when I was in Cascade in Jones County, and every county board, if you pass it, gets to decide exactly how it's spent. It obviously has to be spent on EMS, but in Jones County, they said it had to be on like big equipment. So we got $20,000 a year. And if we weren't buying an ambulance, let's say, or some major piece of cardiac equipment to monitor people, they would hold on to that sort of in escrow, or in trust. And so if we needed it in 3 years, we would get $60,000. But in that small community, you know, it was $20,000 a year that came off of that. And so, if those communities think that this is a way to help fund that, then they can be the ones to help advocate it, as opposed to the one department that's full time being the one pushing for it. Because our people may say, why do we need that when we already paid for it? You know, so it's gotta pass, and we could, I think Trump, based on population, our voters could outvote everybody else. So we have to be in this together. If that's the right thing, we can't rush it as a vote. It's gotta be well thought out, a well-organized referendum plan. But, you know, it's not an easy conversation. And we sit on a different side of the table, obviously, than they do at this point, because we have the service. But I think it was a good start, and I think we'll bring the mayors together. We'll report back after this second meeting in January and kind of see what response we get, but do be thinking about where we go as a community.
FEMA claims for tornado damage, 32,000.
So the good news is we got our 32,000, our first part of it. So that went towards some of the debris, which was one thing that wasn't. So FEMA will only pay for what insurance doesn't. So when we had like costs of cleaning up the community, like, you know, it was obviously not as much as anywhere else as it was just right at the shop there. But we were able to get that money. Chris had advocated for 7th and Oak, 7th and Summit in that area that there's right on that hill there. That if you notice, we re-asphalted that. And so that money was brought back into the community and paid for based on all of our FEMA efforts. And then we'll still be getting another, in addition to this, another $2,400. And so that goes towards administration. So this money goes into the tornado fund, which I said, you know, will help us cover some of the things, like I said, that weren't covered by insurance. And then that admin was just really between myself, Ashley at the time, and then Chris's wages that you can get a percentage of your total claim, 5% back. And so it was another step, but I guess it's just showing, you know, that it is not easy to deal with FEMA, but that staff is working hard to try and look at all avenues to bring back money in. So we actually got that in the bank last week.
And that paid for some of the fencing costs too.
Well, the fencing will get paid for by insurance.
Okay.
And then Mid-American Electric costs for the Woodland Hills Townhouse.
So if you remember, the council approved $80,000 for that, and then for those of you, if you remember, when people start hooking up their service, we'll start getting that money back. So I did get a call from Lewis at Mid-American just saying that now that some of the services are in place, that we will start getting that money back, and that will be, I don't know how much time it'll take to get it all back, but that will be money that came out of that borrowed money for the townhomes from that bond, that we will have the opportunity to spend somewhere else on capital, something that the council decided.
That also includes phase two, is that correct?
It does, includes both, phase one and phase two,
Maybe.
because they put the power into both sections. Yeah. Okay. Airport property, Quonset hut for storage of city equipment.
So there's a private contractor that's out at the airport that pays like only $1,800. It's, somewhat, nobody gets charged a huge amount of money out at the airport, but I did request of the airport commission to be able to give notice to that person. We have stuff that sits outside and we own a Quonset hut that we're renting out for $1,800 to a private contractor. And it just doesn't really make sense that our stuff is, sitting out in the elements. And so I had asked for him to be out in January, and then I got a call after the airport meeting. I wasn't able to go to it, requesting if he could have until the middle of March. So he's been notified. He'll stop paying that $1,800, and then water and sewer will start paying into the general fund what that rent would have been. So just letting you know, I think, you spend a lot of money on, you allocate a lot of money to the staff to get equipment, and then some of it's sitting outside. So this will give us a little bit more room to keep stuff inside, but if you hear about it, it's just an FYI.
Do you have anything? No. As far as me, I just want to say, I do have a few last official duties to do over the next 16 days, just a couple. I want to thank Lisa and everybody that came or coordinated both this today and also the festivities at the 518. That was wonderful. It was really nice to have so many people there. Thank you for those of you who came, and thank you to everybody who, again, has supported me through all of this. And I very much felt that Mr. Bills here should have also been acknowledged at that party. He just did not want to be. And then I guess I just want to say thank you, everybody. This was my last meeting, I think. And thank you, Tim. This was very special to have you present that to me. So kind of started this together. So the three amigos, I call us. And it's been a pleasure. That's all I have. If I can come back and do Toys for Tots, I would love to one last time, but we'll see if I can get off. All right, City Council, do we want to start with Adam?
Just your send off.
And it was great. You got
It was
a
a good
great
time.
video, by the way, that I sent
Yes.
you.
That was fun.
Thank you, Adam. Anything else?
That's
Okay, Janice?
Oh, I missed it. I waited babysitting for.
But you sent me a nice note.
grandkids or Shauna, so I sent her a nice note and said, I'm really sorry, but it looked like it was wonderful. The pictures looked great. So my only thing, because I've been playing with family, I guess, is I did the business after hours out at Riverbend Lunch. That was really, really nice. It was
It's always
pretty sweet out there. The theater has, tomorrow I'm Zooming, so I can be my little certificate so I know about open meetings and everything. So that's tomorrow afternoon.
That's right.
And we have lots of little kiddos coming to the theater this week. So that's fun.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, Tim?
Well, I also went to the EMS meeting, had a couple of Red Oak Area Partnership meetings, which I attended your send off. We had a meeting with Golden Hills as well, actually, Lisa and I did with Lance there, just about different things that they do in connection with watershed management. So hopefully here in the future, we'll actually have a seat at that table. I don't think we ever have in the past. I think we've been the only community that hasn't been there. So looking forward to working with them. Went to the last Mayor's Youth Advisory Council meeting. That was fun. We had MCDC, and then I did also go to the Riverbend Heritage after hours. Very nice time there.
Brian?
I attended the Riverbend after hours as well. I attended the mayor's goodbye. I also did, an interview with our independent auditors. And, that seemed to be going well. And then I, of course, attended the county supervisor's meeting. And, you know, I would encourage one or of the council members in the future to, if you can, they're Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. You know, they don't always go over a lot of stuff, but they do cover things sometimes that we need to be aware of at the city level. So I would encourage one of you to start attending those meetings. That's all I have.
That's one thing I really appreciate that you participated in because it keeps us in communication with the county supervisors, which is just really a good key partnership to have. So
They
thank you
make,
for doing that.
they make decisions that concern us. in the
They
city.
very much do. And so you've done that very diligently. I think you've only missed one or two in 4 years. So thank you for doing that. Sharon?
I attended the DR meeting and, of course, your reception, which was wonderful. We had a great turnout and, so kudos to you for everything you've given the community, Shauna. We really appreciated it. I attended our Questers meeting. We talked about our evergreen cemetery walk, for next year. Also the country club meeting and we had our, they were awarded the top 18 hole golf course. And that was, if you saw it on Facebook, it was a wonderful presentation and it really puts Red Oak in the limelight, so.
Right. Okay, good deal. Our next meeting will be on Tuesday, December 30th. You guys will, no action will be taken, but it will be your strategic planning session. And then the next regular meeting will be January 5th and January 19th. Just a reminder to all of you, that the open meetings training is December 16th. And I assume everybody's registered for that.
Hardly late.
Oh, it'll be riveting. Discussion for any upcoming agenda items, other than you already mentioned all the board appointments and such.
Yep.
Anything else? Okay. All right. And so with that, this will be the close of the Zoom recording. We did receive a letter that we will be going into a closed session. So our audience can step out now.
What?
So do I need to go ahead and motion?
We do have to vote.
So, okay, so I will need somebody to make a motion that we'll have a 5-minute recess while people transition.
Should vote for now, to go into closed, and then we'll have a 5 minutes.
Okay, so I do need a motion to vote to go into closed
I'm
session.
going to go into
Hold
closed
on,
session.
the mayor needs to read the vote.
Yes, so. I would need a motion to adjourn into a closed session pursuant to Iowa Code 21.51I to evaluate the professional competency of an individual whose appointment, hiring, performance, or discharge is being considered when necessary to prevent needless and irreparable injury to that reputation, and the individual's has requested a closed session.
Okay.
Right off,
Brian,
right,
are
okay,
you,
Bill,
the motion stand? Second.
okay, and then right off. All right, and so that is proof. We will take a 5-minute.
roll call.
Oh, roll call, sorry.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bills,
Yes.
right off,
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Hebrink.
Yes.
I'm taking advantage of that.
Thank you. It's hard to get up there.
There you go. I didn't see it until you started pulling that away. I'm sorry. I saw that and I was like, oh.
Yeah, you can take that over anytime.
I can't reach that high anymore.
Thank you. Thank you, Larry.